Talk TV. And if you've ever been to the Mississippi Aquarium, then you would have been at our guest, Dr. Holley Muraco's office. She is a world-renowned dolphin expert, but today she's going to tell us more about her other passion, which is rehabbing beavers. Hey, Dr. Muraco.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you okay, and I've been so excited about this just as someone who loves animals, maybe not to the extent as you did because you chose it to be your passion and your profession, but I just love the fact that it's a complete and total opposite. You are a dolphin expert, world renowned, and now you are also loving on animals that I guess, would be completely different in the animal kingdom. So tell us a little bit about how you found your love for beavers.
Sure. It does sound like a crazy made-up story, but basically, yes, I love animals, and I also love studying animals, and dolphins have provided me with just a very rich and exciting career, and I'm so excited to be down here on the coast. I'm just happy to be back home in Mississippi because I've been traveling and working everywhere it seems but Mississippi, so I'm just happy to be home. But basically, I during COVID, during the pandemic, when everyone was locked down, I ended up being asked to raise and rehabilitate a baby raccoon. And that is where I got completely hooked in helping wildlife rehabilitators raise orphan babies. I've always loved baby animals, and so it started with a raccoon. And that was just such a fulfilling and exciting experience that I continued doing it even after the lockdown. And here on the coast, was working with Woodside. I work with Woodside Wildlife Rescue. And Paula Woodside is the permit holder and the rehabilitator that I work under. And it was last year that she asked me, would I mind trying to raise beavers instead of raccoons? And being who I am and my family, it's a family affair, I was like, yeah, let's try it. So next thing I know, we have 3 orphan baby beavers, and that started me on my path.
So, and I read where their names are Huck, Finn, and Sawyer. By the way, best
Yes.
names ever. And do you have to have certain credentials? Like I know, Dr. Muraco, when it comes to putting an animal in your care, you kind of meet the mark of at least having an understanding of what that would take. But does Paula have, I guess, need other rehabbers? Is this something that more people are doing? I guess like fostering. I know fostering puppies or cats is a thing. Is this also kind of a thing for other animal lovers, or is it more of a niche kind of area?
Oh, no, absolutely. If there are animal lovers out there, then your local, we have wildlife rehabilitators all across our coast, or all across our state, and they always are looking for some type of assistance in some way. And Paula Woodside has really taken it to a great level where she is able to set up home-based rehabbers under her permit, and they help during this very time-consuming time to get these baby raccoons weaned. And then they go back to Paula, and she puts them through all of the paces as far as necessary for release. So especially if you're down here on the coast and you love animals, absolutely reach out to Woodside, and they would be happy to train you and teach you everything you need to know, and you'd be doing them a great service.
So let's talk about bringing home 3 beavers into your home, because I'm thinking again, I go back to what we could all think about would be kittens or puppies would be sort of the same. I mean, is it much different than that to have like a completely different species sort of come into your home as something to care for, or are there stark differences in how you and I know you're rehabbing them, so they may be a little bit different, but in terms of how they play or sleep or eat?
Sure. So I when we first took the 3 babies, really didn't fully understand what I was getting into, and I also learned that beaver rehabilitation is a relatively unknown thing. There are people that do it here or there, but there's not a book that tells you everything you need to know. And so I just went to the literature as best I could and read up on everything I need to know about beavers and their nutrition and their behavior. And honestly, what I learned was we have not done a very good job of knowing about beavers. We certainly know how to trap them. They literally built America with all their fur trade. But when it comes to veterinary care, husbandry, nutrition, nothing was known. So I leaned into a lot of folks around the country that had some experience, including zoos and aquariums, and dove right in. And the biggest difference was compared to a raccoon, for example, is a very, we all know that raccoons can get into trouble, and they seem to be very smart. And they are. They're very, very, they immediately are aware of their surroundings, even at a young age. And I got the beavers, and they just seemed completely, I call them dim. I'm like, they are oblivious. They have no idea where they are, what they're doing, and we're completely reliant on me to show them and teach them. And as time went on, I realized this is not a sign of a dumb animal. This is actually a sign of an animal that takes a long time to mature. And a beaver will live to be 25 years old. It's the second longest lived rodent in the world. And they don't reach maturity until they're 3 or 4. And they need to stay with their mom and dad and their social group for 2 years. And so what I learned was as the year went on and as they continued to grow, then they're so much smarter than we ever have given them credit for.
Well, I mean,
so I'm just fascinated.
Anytime you can stop water, right, like build a dam and figure that out in the wild. To me, same with birds that build nests that can stay in trees, that can hold your little egg, your eggs and babies. I'm like, this is fascinating that you just sort of innate with that ability to do that and just kind of know what sticks go where or wherever it may be. But I guess the other piece to this, Dr. Muraco, is Paula finding them, because they are orphaned. She didn't just go snatch beavers out of the woods for you to then house. So how does she come across these animals that need rehabbing?
Sure. So Paula does have her beaver permit, which is a special permit with raccoons and possums and squirrels and things like that. But you are right. You don't just go out and find baby beavers. In Mississippi, beavers are classified as a nuisance animal, and a lot of times they speak in a sentence where they say wild hogs and beavers are the most, destructive animals in our state. But the difference, of course, being beavers are native. They do belong here. They were here first. And unlike wild pigs, they do actually serve a place in the ecosystem. But regardless, if you are a landowner, it is very common for landowners to blow up a beaver dam or destroy a lodge, whether it be a purposeful or accidental. And if they do that during the baby season, then these little orphans who never should be out of their lodge find themselves wandering outside. And what usually happens is they're so adorable, someone on the water, someone sees them, and they pick them up. And so Mississippi has a network of rehabbers that work together. These beavers were found in different parts of the state. They are not related. And the goal is every year to put every orphan baby beaver together so that they can be raised as a family. And so the 3 beavers came from different parts of the state. And just ended up, Paula has been chosen as one of the stronger beaver rehabilitators. So she ends up getting them. And
then when they're rehabbed, Dr. Muraco, where do they go?
That's the tricky part because releasing a raccoon they're very resilient and they know exactly what they're doing once they're ready to be released. You can give them some trees and water and plenty of food and they're fine. But a beaver is trickier because beavers are highly territorial and you can't just plop a beaver down in any unknown pond because if there are other beavers living there, they will kill outsiders. And so these beavers can't just be placed anywhere. The goal is to have a soft release site at first where the beavers have a chance to have a pond or a lake or some property where they just get comfortable going in and out and while they continue to be supplemented with food. And then once they show that they are very good at living in that soft release site, then there will be another site chosen. And this is a coordinated effort among the rehabbers and among landowners and even the state government. So it's not a mild decision. And the other thing that I learned is that beavers, it's actually pretty hard to get them to that 2-year mark because they're so sensitive and unfortunately will die early, even under the best of situations because we simply don't know enough about their care. And these little orphans oftentimes have immune problems or illness problems. And so we're putting a lot of that information together, and I do hope to publish, whether it be a journal or a book someday, about the experience.
Dr. Muraco, can you hang out with us for a little bit longer?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, we got more with Dr. Holley Muraco coming up next. We're continuing our conversation with Dr. Holley Muraco. She has become a wildlife rehabber, focusing on orphaned beavers with Woodside Wildlife Rescue. But by day, she works with dolphins. She's a dolphin expert and works there at Mississippi Aquarium. And Dr. Muraco, I want to talk a little bit about dolphins while I have you on, because why not? You're world renowned, and we know those there on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. But if we wanted to learn more about what the Woodside Wildlife Rescue is doing, or maybe become a part of that, or your work with beavers and raccoons, is there anywhere we can go to get a little more information on that?
Absolutely. Woodside Wildlife Rescue's website, they're also on all the social media, Facebook and Instagram, but they have a website, and that is the best place to start. And then you'll have the way to reach out to Paula, which she will be glad to hear from you if you're interested in volunteering or learning more. And she also is a registered nonprofit. And so even if you can't donate your labor or time, she never turns down some type of great donation. So she just runs a fantastic program, and go to the website and check it out.
Sounds like I'll get to know Paula at some point here on Good Things Too, because I think more people need to know about the opportunity to do that if they so choose. But I do feel like, Dr. Muraco, your day job is super cool too. I was telling Rhino before Good Things, I feel like me and him just didn't get on the right boat on like things to do with our life. Because from, getting to do your research and all that, it just seems so interesting to me. So how does a girl from Mississippi find herself traveling the world to study dolphins?
Oh, that is a good question, but it's absolutely one of the things that I enjoy most about being back home in Mississippi is traveling to schools and seeing young people, just like I was, from a small town, growing up on a farm, and you have never practically left the state. And I tell them, if I can be a marine biologist or a dolphin expert, then you can too. There's nothing stopping you, aside from, just not trying. So I loved animals, and the path took me like almost every other person. If you love animals, then you're supposed to be a veterinarian. And being a veterinarian is an absolutely wonderful thing, and we do have a shortage of vets. We need more rural vets, especially in Mississippi. But for me, I ended up having an opportunity to do an internship when I was at Mississippi State. Got to spend some time with some dolphins at Disney World, of all places. And after that 6-month internship, I came back home and said, wait a minute, I think there's other things I could do instead of being a veterinarian, and started off being a dolphin trainer right there in Mississippi on the old Marine Life facility when I graduated from college. So I was a dolphin trainer and sea lions, and then I ended up in Orlando and working with whales and elephants, and just, I love animals. Obviously, it doesn't really matter what kind. But at the same time, I really did have a scientific curiosity about me. And so I had an opportunity to study bottlenose dolphin reproduction. We didn't know at the time much about their cycles or how, their pregnancy progression and how they cared for their young. And so I got a grant, and then I called up my friends at Mississippi State and asked if they would be willing to take me on as a grad student. And luckily for me, they said yes. And so that just put me into a whole nother world. And because I know so much about reproduction, that I found that there was a need for that around the world, because we need to properly maintain populations in human care. We also need to understand factors that would influence wild dolphins in their reproduction. And so ever since, that's what I've been able to do as a day job, and it's been amazing.
Well, and I don't know how much our listeners can help with dolphin reproduction, other than maybe if there's some things during the boating season or summertime, or if we're visiting the Gulf Coast, or just, I know, by coming and supporting the Mississippi Aquarium supports the research that you and so many others there do outside of just, having the animals there for our entertainment. Is there something that, can be done? I mean, are we more connected to them than we may think that we are?
Absolutely. That is something that we as soon as I got back to Mississippi and settled on the coast, I realized that the majority of folks down here take it for granted that we have such a huge population of wild dolphins in the Sound. And I think folks here who've never been anywhere else on a boat probably don't realize how special it is that every time you go out into the Sound, you're going to see dolphins. And that is something that's very special. And it's something that I'm trying to bring awareness to, that every single person that gets out on that water can play a part in helping dolphins. You know, the basic things like you shouldn't feed wild dolphins as much as we want to feed them. As they're so cute and they swim by your boat and you would love to give them some of your fresh catch. That dolphins are, I call them the raccoons of the sea. They're not going to turn down a free opportunity for food, but it also teaches them and all the ones that rely on them, such as moms and calves and even siblings, a really, really bad habit of approaching a boat and begging for food. And so that's the first and easy thing that you can do is when you're out on the water, enjoy them, look at them, don't feed them. That's a pretty simple thing. And then, of course, fishing line. Those are the simple things that everyone hears, but it is important that we are visiting their world. And they don't have a choice. They're living in that water, and so we just need to make sure we're keeping our pollution out, we're keeping our fishing line out.
I love those. Well, we have a choice to visit the Mississippi Aquarium, Dr. Muraco. So when we come there and choose to bring our families, what kind of research are we still supporting?
Oh, yeah. No, Mississippi Aquarium, it is just, we are so fortunate in the state of Mississippi to have that resource. And there are just numerous opportunities that our students can participate in there. There's internship programs, there's volunteer opportunities. And then when you get there, you know, the education that our education team has put together for outreach and information is phenomenal. It is just an incredible learning opportunity. You can see some beautiful fish. You can see the dolphins. Be entertained, but you will walk away knowing more than when you went in.
Which is a good thing, I think, and knowing that there's so much work going on outside of it. There's also on the Mississippi Gulf Coast, it's the Institutes of, help me out, for science.
Institute of Marine.
Yes.
Yeah, Institute of Marine Mammal Studies.
I'm glad you knew it.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, our world is so small. I work, that facility is the same facility that lost their facility in Katrina. So the marine life that was there on the port in Gulfport that was destroyed by Katrina has been re-envisioned as the Institute for Marine Mammal Studies. And they work closely with Mississippi State Vet School, and they really are doing a great job of helping our stranded dolphins, you know, the dolphins that are struggling when they come to shore, or even trying to understand why the animals have died and stranded. It's also an amazing place for our Mississippians to get to visit. There's a whole other type of enjoyable experience when you're there and behind the scenes, a lot of great work. So we're very, very fortunate here in Mississippi to have two facilities that are each doing their part, and something we should be proud of.
What's a fun fact about dolphins that most folks may not know?
Sure. So one easy fun fact is they are pregnant for 1 year.
What?
And people usually get very like, what? Hey, what do you mean a year? And so I've spent a lot of my time studying pregnant dolphins and using ultrasound to see the babies as they develop. And the other fun fact is when they're not quite halfway through their gestation, baby dolphins can swim from one side of the uterus to the other. And so sometimes I will, the dolphins are trained to let me put the ultrasound probe just on their skin. They usually fall asleep during the exam. And the baby, though, if it's active and practicing swimming, it will literally swim away from me. And that's something that I'll never, ever get over because it's just so interesting to think about. Think about a baby dolphin. When it's born, it doesn't have the luxury of being held and swaddled and cared for. It has to come out swimming. And if it doesn't come out swimming, then it's not going to do very well.
And so it gets started.
Those are some of my favorite facts.
That's kind of like babies. They come out kicking because that's all they do. But you know what? Today I'm grateful I'm not a dolphin for many reasons. But for one, it's that gestation is for a 40 weeks is long enough.
That Mama Dolphin has the same look in her eye as all of us who have had the privilege of being able to give birth. She's like, I need this baby out now, please. But they are phenomenal mothers, and they have amazing group dynamics so that other females with the mom can actually babysit the baby, take the baby for care for a little while. And I even have a study published where I saw that dolphins will start nursing for other babies in their group. And so mom dolphin doesn't even have to take on the full role of full nursing. She can pass the baby off to
They know it takes a village, don't they, Dr. Muraco? I have appreciated your time, learned so much. Look forward to having you back or visiting you there at the Mississippi Aquarium, but thank you.
Thank you. I enjoyed being here.
All righty, you guys stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.